I used to work nights as a security officer for an old transporting warehouse in Indiana. Most nights were long, boring, and uneventful. Every now and again you'd get some local kids trying to run through the site as a dare. More annoying than dangerous, as we had to respond and make sure they left the site, but they were never a real threat. We would usually work in pairs, but on this one night, my coworker had called in sick and there was no one available to cover the shift, so I had to work alone. I was told by my boss to just stay in the security office, and if anything happened, to call a manager or the police depending on the severity. Our security office had a good setup. It had a small kitchen, toilet, and then the office itself, which had CCTV monitors for just about every inch of the building. There was no real reason to leave unless something happened. About 2/3 of the way into my shift, I heard a light banging sound coming from the roof of the warehouse. That was one part of the building where we didn't have CCTV. There was, however, a hatch that led out onto the roof that was accessible from inside the warehouse. Now, as I said, most nights are uneventful, so I decided to go take a look, thinking maybe it was just an injured hawk flapping around up there or something, as that's happened before. In order to get up to the hatch, you had to climb a ladder that I would estimate to be about 60 feet in height. I climbed up, unlocked the hatch, and opened it slowly. I looked around but couldn't really see anything. Then, in the distance, I saw what looked to be two men carrying something across the roof. I couldn't see what the men were carrying, but it took two of them to carry it, so I was thinking this must have had something heavy or valuable in it. I stood there peering through the hatch when I heard a crunch to the side of me. I turned to see a man standing about 7 feet from me. He came towards me, causing me to fall back and lose my footing off the ladder. Luckily, I had been holding on to the hatch handle, which was the only thing to stop me falling 60 feet to the solid concrete below. The man tried to lift the hatch, but I'm not a small guy, so hanging from it made it too heavy for him to lift, and I managed to lock it before he got inside. I called the police, who responded within 10 minutes, which was a lot faster than I expected. I showed them up onto the roof to find no one there. None of the CCTV cameras caught anyone entering or exiting the premises. One of the officers found a duffel bag, which had a large selection of tools inside, like cutting knives, bolt cutters, and a sledgehammer. I have no idea what they were planning on doing, but it looked as though I caught them early, as there were no signs of attempting entry. My coworker that called in sick never returned to work again after that night. There were rumors that he had something to do with it, but I don't think he did. I had just started working at my friend's dad's pizza shop, right around the corner from my house. I was 18 at the time, and it was my first real job. There would usually be 3 of us on shift. We offered deliveries, but the shop wasn't busy enough to have a full-time driver, so if ever there was a delivery, one of us would just take it out. Just after I started working there, I noticed this man used to come into the shop every night about 30 minutes before closing. He would order a drink and sit down by the window, sipping it, until he was asked to leave after we'd closed. I asked my colleague what his deal was, but he just said he didn't know, but had been doing it for months. About 2 weeks later, it was just me and one other guy working late, and as usual, the guy comes in and orders his drink about 30 minutes before close. He seems to notice that there's only 2 of us as he looks around the shop and asks, "Where's the other guy?" "Oh, he's sick, so it's just us 2 tonight." He pulls out a phone and starts texting. 2 minutes later, the phone rings, and a last-minute order for delivery comes in on the other side of town. My colleague decided to take it out and left me there with the man alone, saying to lock up, clean down, and wait for him to get back to cash up together. Shortly after my friend had left for the delivery, the man got up and went into the customer toilets. After about 5 minutes, I heard a scream coming from the toilet. I ran in to check if the man was okay, and as I ran through the door, he grabbed me from behind and put a knife to my throat. "Stay calm, stay quiet, and it'll all be over soon." I was scared and confused. What will all be over? What's happening? He made me empty my pockets by taking my keys, phone, and wallet. We stood there for 5 minutes before he told me he's going to leave me there and to not come out until someone comes in to get me. I was scared shitless. I waited for what seemed like 20 minutes when my friend came in looking for me. I explained what happened, and he called the police from his phone. He said the delivery call was a prank, and when he got to the address, they said they never ordered anything. We checked the CCTV, and when I was being held in the toilet, 2 other men came in and emptied the cash register and safe. He must have been watching us all this time and noting our routines. He knew where the money was, where the keys were, and that if there were only 2 people on shift, one would still leave to run a delivery. I still work there, but we have a new policy on how many people must stay in the shop now. I enjoyed working the night shift as a receptionist at a roadside motel, as after about 10 p.m., you could just put the television on and relax. Every now and again, you would get someone wanting a room last minute. This could be someone who's been on the road all day and looking for somewhere to crash, or someone that's about to commit adultery and looking for a cheap place to bring their mistress. It isn't really any of my business what people do here, as long as it's consensual. This one night started out just like any other. I'd completed all my check-ins, ordered takeout, and sat down behind the desk watching some late-night TV. I would lock the door to the reception at about 10 p.m., and if anyone wanted to check in, I would just let them in. I can't remember exactly what I was watching, but it got to about 1 a.m. when I saw a man at the window staring at me. It made me jump, but I just assumed it was a customer looking for a bed for the night. He didn't look overly homeless, and I was thinking maybe he was just lost or that he wanted a room for the night. I stood up and walked to the window and tried to talk to him. "Hi, would you like a room for the night?" He stood there staring through the window, but what made this weirder was that he didn't even react to me being there and talking to him. He was just staring in through the window. I tried to talk to him again, but nothing. Not a word. He just stood there staring through the window. I looked away for a second as the noise from the TV caught my attention. When I looked back, the man had turned and was staring right at me. He startled me so much I let out a scream. The man then grabbed the door handle and started pulling on it aggressively. Then he started kicking it as if he was trying to break in. I ran back to the desk to call the police, but before I could dial, the door gave way and the man came inside. I screamed and ran into the bathroom and locked the door, expecting the man to come and find me, but he never came. I had left my cell phone on the desk, so I couldn't even call for help. I could hear the man ransacking the office and turning it upside down. Eventually, it went quiet. I came out of the bathroom slowly. The office was turned upside down. I called the owner and the police, and both came out to the motel. I had noticed that the man had taken the master keys from the key cabinet. Concerned for the people within the motel, the 2 officers searched every room, but never found the man. I was fired for leaving the key cabinet open, as the owner then had to change all the locks, which he didn't like.